49ers faithful, this week in the Bay feels different. Odds makers are finally starting to respect this offense. A veteran linebacker with a high football IQ is circling the market. George Kittle is sending subtle but powerful messages about how healthy this unit really is, and the front office is being pushed toward another big decision in the defensive trenches. It's one of those stretches where the headlines look simple, but when you connect the dots, you start to see what this team could become in December and January. First of all, look at the level of respect Vegas is finally putting on the San Francisco 49ers. All year long, the point spreads have been tight, rarely more than a field goal because of injuries, offensive inconsistency, and the quarterback drama earlier in the season. Now, with Brock Purdy back in full command, the offensive line stabilizing, and Ricky Pearsall finding his rhythm, the sportsbooks have basically kicked down the door. The Niners are favored by a full touchdown against the Carolina Panthers. 7 points on the spread, total at 49.5. That's not just a number. It's Vegas saying they expect San Francisco to control this game. That immediately sets off the classic Niner gang bar argument. Is it smarter to trust the spread or chase the over? With this defense, it almost never feels right to bet on the under. This unit has been suffocating opponents, holding most teams under 20 points, forcing mistakes, and speeding up quarterbacks. If the defense does its job and the offense simply maintains its standard of putting up around 24 points, then a line like this starts to make a lot of sense for anyone trying to understand how the league sees this team right now. The real key is the tactical matchup. Carolina is expected to live in zone coverage all game long, trying to cloud Purdy's reads, take away those deadly intermediate routes, and force constant checkdowns. That's not exactly where he is at his best, because it demands more patience and more throws underneath. But then comes the factor that changes everything: pressure. The Panthers are one of the worst defenses in the league at generating pressure. If you give Kyle Shanahan's offense time, sooner or later someone is going to pop open by 10 yards and the game script tilts heavily towards San Francisco. And of course, there's the storyline nobody in the Bay has forgotten: Christian McCaffrey's revenge game. Carolina is among the teams that missed the most tackles in the NFL, while McCaffrey leads the league in forced missed tackles. Combine that with George Kittle helping in the run game, setting the edge and sealing lanes, and the recipe becomes obvious. Run the ball well, stay in third and short, drain the clock, and wear down a defense that already struggles to finish plays. On the other side, keep everything in front, trust the secondary and zone, and force the young Panthers quarterback to put together long, mistake-free drives. If that works, a comfortable win at Levi's with a loud reminder to the NFC suddenly looks very realistic. And that's just the beginning. While the fan base debates spreads and totals, the front office might be staring at a different kind of opportunity, adding a veteran linebacker who understands high-level defensive football as well as almost anyone in the league. During the bye week, one name jumps off the page and makes any locked-in fan sit up: Eric Kendricks. A longtime leader and communicator, he sees the field one step ahead, and after 2 solid seasons, he's still unsigned in 2025. That's not about talent, that's about timing and fit. What really raises eyebrows is the latest development. Kendricks reportedly turned down a chance to join the Baltimore Ravens practice squad, a team that runs a defensive system very similar to what San Francisco likes to do. He doesn't want to come back just to be depth. He wants a 53-man roster spot, real snaps, real impact, and real playoff games. That mentality fits perfectly in a locker room that expects to play deep into January every single year. And don't kid yourself, the need is real. The defense is strong, but everyone knows that late in the season, when bodies are worn down and games get heavier, having a veteran in the middle of the field who has seen everything matters a ton. Someone who can help with pre-snap reads, align the front, call out route combinations, and take some of that mental load off Fred Warner's shoulders. Bringing in a player like Kendricks could steady the entire second level of the defense and even allow Warner and the rest of this linebacker group to be more aggressive, whether blitzing, buzzing underneath routes, or rotating late into different coverage looks. Now imagine the emotional side of that move. Faithful tuning in on a random weekday and seeing that the front office went out and got a proven veteran winner to help close this season strong. That sends a message. This team is not playing safe, it's going all in again. It's the kind of transaction that doesn't dominate national headlines, but insiders and hardcore fans look back months later and say, that was the quiet move that changed everything. If you're enjoying this type of breakdown, make sure to like the video and tell me in the comments whether you'd sign Kendricks or roll with the current group, because this conversation is just getting started. While that possibility hovers in the background, the offense just dropped 41 points on the Arizona Cardinals. And somehow the most important thing wasn't the score. It was a sentence from George Kittle, a guy who has never been afraid to be honest about where this team really stands. After the game, he said the offense is basically healthy. On the surface, that sounds like good news, but when a veteran who understands the emotional temperature of this locker room chooses his words that carefully, there's something between the lines that the fan base can't ignore. Kittle made it clear that the group feels good. The rhythm is there. The timing is back. The confidence is rising. But that basically hangs in the air like a cloud, and everybody knows what it's probably about. Brandon Aiyuk. Kittle didn't name him or stir up drama, but framing the offense as basically healthy sounds like a subtle acknowledgement of what many are already thinking. Aiyuk might not be coming back this season. His recovery from a major knee injury hasn't progressed the way many hoped. His practice window still hasn't opened, and every week that passes makes it harder to believe in a late-season return. That leads to a tough but necessary question for the faithful. Does this team actually need to rush Aiyuk back to have a top-tier offense? On the field, the production is coming from everywhere. Ricky Pearsall is emerging week by week. Juwan Jennings continues to be that third-down warrior who does the dirty work and moves the chains. Kendrick Bourne brings energy and yards after the catch. Christian McCaffrey is still the engine. And Kittle, when he's right physically, completely changes the ceiling of this unit. From a purely football standpoint, it's fair to say the 49ers have enough firepower to scare any defense in the NFC even without Aiyuk. But the front office has to look at this from another angle too: the contract. Aiyuk's deal is heavy and central to how the cap will be structured in 2026. If he comes back too early, suffers a setback, and loses even more value, it becomes a nightmare scenario for any potential trade or extension. Nobody is going to admit that publicly, of course. Still, you can feel that tension under the surface every time someone asks about his long-term future. In that sense, Kittle's quote starts to sound less like a throwaway line and more like acceptance. A veteran leader looking around and thinking, this is probably the group we're riding with the rest of the way. And what a group it is. Even without one of their most talented receivers, this offense still looks like a unit that can hang with anybody in a shootout and grind out ugly wins when necessary. The question now isn't just whether Aiyuk returns, but whether the team and the fan base are ready, emotionally and strategically, to move forward if he doesn't play another snap this year. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ball, the story's about rebuilding an identity that has always defined the 49ers: the defensive line. Ever since John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan took over, the philosophy has been clear: win at the line of scrimmage, crush the pocket, make quarterbacks miserable. That's why so much draft capital has gone into the trenches. Even so, we've reached this point in the season staring at a number that doesn't feel like 49ers football at all. 12 sacks in 11 weeks, last in the league. Before his knee injury, Michael Williams showed exactly the kind of explosion you want from an edge rusher. Alfred Collins started slowly but is trending up and already delivered a game-changing play against the Rams in prime time. CJ West is progressing, even if he still looks more like a rotational piece than a full-time answer. The problem is that without Nick Bosa, this pass rush has lost its fear factor. Offenses aren't panicking on third down the way they used to. Quarterbacks are too comfortable, and whenever that happens in a defense built around pressure, every other level feels the strain. That's why it makes so much sense to see analysts like ESPN's Matt Miller projecting that the 49ers will go right back to the well in the 2026 draft and invest again in the defensive line. The name he links to San Francisco is Ohio State defensive tackle Caden McDonald, a powerful interior force who plays with exactly the kind of mentality this franchise loves. He's dominant against the run, but also has the ability to collapse the pocket from the inside, which completely changes life for any edge rusher lined up next to him. It also fits perfectly with the bigger picture. Jordan Elliott and Kevin Givens are approaching free agency. West still looks more like depth than a locked-in starter. Collins is on the rise, but you don't build a long-term core on hope alone. For years, the 49ers have believed in a simple formula: stack premium talent on the defensive line and let the rest of the defense flow from there. A player like McDonald would fit that blueprint and could become the next anchor of a front that badly needs to get back to scaring people. So, 49ers faithful, after a week like this, with the betting market sending a clear message, a respected veteran hovering just outside the building, Kittle hinting at a hard truth about this offense, and the draft conversation already pulling the defensive line back to center stage, it's impossible not to feel that something big is shifting in the Bay. The question is what you think it all means for the immediate future of this team. Let me know in the comments, because this debate is yours as much as mine. And of course, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay locked in every day, because we're riding with the red and gold all the way.